The motor car has been around for over 100 years, and in that time we've become used to the idea that when it comes to what's under the bonnet, we've got a bit of choice. A common four-cylinder, a straight six, a V8, a V12, or if you're really lucky, a W12. Now, in the interests of saving you money on your fuel bill and quite possibly saving themselves in the process, Volvo have decided that their cars, from the humble V40 to the massive XC90, will all be powered by a four-cylinder motor. Yes, the days of being able to order your Swedish sedan with a V8 are numbered. Volvo is on a mission to prove to the world that a car's cylinder count shouldn't impact at all on its worthiness. To them, there's no reason why a small turbocharged four-cylinder shouldn't be every bit as enjoyable as a V6, and they're so confident of their outlook that they're quite literally putting their money where their mouths are, which is quite a stretch considering their money is in China and their mouth is in Sweden. The cynical side of me says it's nothing but a massive cost-cutting exercise, because essentially they would have gone from making 8 engines across 3 different platforms to initially making just 3 engines on one platform. And while that means less choice for their customers, it also means lower manufacturing costs, and that equals better long-term sustainability. And let's be honest, for a company that almost bit the dust recently, it's not surprising that long-term sustainability is something they're now gunning for. But the Drive E program, as it's known, isn't just about money. It's about the real benefits of smaller engines producing more efficient cars, and that in turn pushes the boundaries of what's possible. When you've limited yourself to producing smaller engines while your competition hasn't, you have to find some competitive advantage. The way it works is that Volvo will produce one diesel and one petrol engine of the same size and then tune them to produce varying levels of power. As one of Volvo's program launch managers, Marlon Liebecker, explains, the benefits go beyond the drive.
It is a very common architecture between diesel and petrol that had created a lot of common parts. So it's totally flexible in the lines. And you also, if you have fewer parts, you get better logistics into the factories as well. Having a very similar installation between the cars as well, we have focused on technology that has driven us forward into new figures of fuel consumption together with this power. To create one architecture does not just give the good fuel consumption and the power, but it also creates a flexibility for the future for us.
To try out Volvo's brave new frontier, we travelled to France to sample 2 of these new motors, starting with a diesel version in their V60 D4 wagon. The D4 is a 133 kilowatt 400 Newton meter front wheel drive, but Volvo are also building an 84 kilowatt 270 Newton meter version called the D2. Both engines feature the interestingly called I-ART technology, in which each injector injects the ideal amount of fuel every combustion cycle. Very simply, a computer chip monitors each cylinder in the high-pressure common rail system, and depending on engine load will calculate and then deliver a precise amount of fuel to ensure the most efficient operation of the engine. And as they say in the classics, but wait, that's not all. You also get more gears in a brand new gearbox. Developed specifically as part of the program, 2 new gearboxes were designed to get the best out of the new engine, as well as play their own part in the economy of the cars. Volvo teamed up with Warner to develop an 8-speed auto and a 6-speed manual. Our test car had the auto, and despite being a brand new design, it felt just a little bit stodgy, not as crisp or as decisive, say, as Jaguar's auto box. The steering wheel mounted paddle shifters certainly helped things, especially through our mountain route. Ultimately though, this trip was about Volvo's 4-cylinder fixation. The proof of all this we can make small engines as good as big engines talk is in the pudding, and this particular pudding tastes good. The engine is fairly responsive, it's got good in-gear acceleration, and really on a day-to-day basis, it's got everything you need. And I think that's kind of the point that Volvo are trying to prove. It's pretty easy to write off the idea that cars with smaller engines, especially bigger cars like this V60, are no fun to drive. But Volvo have developed a package here that feels very good. It's interesting to discover how much they've concentrated on making it an easy-to-handle, confidence-inspiring thing, even though most V60s will never be chucked through a mountain pass. In case you're one of those people who doesn't believe the talk about the demise of the big engine, well, perhaps the fact that a major manufacturer has decided to kill them off intentionally should be another piece of proof that it is the future of the automobile. And if you're worried that that future means we'll all be driving cars that are slow and unexciting, well, think about it logically. The future of Formula One is 1600 turbo motors. And Volvo themselves know a thing or two about building performance cars. They've just been crowned Swedish touring car champions, beating the likes of BMW and Citroën. Back to the Drive E program and its mantra of downscaling without compromise. Volvo have made sure that while they've been concentrating on efficiency and sustainability, they haven't lost sight of that other thing for which they're most famous, safety. The S60 includes city safety, the low-speed collision avoidance system, as well as the usual raft of Volvo's occupant protection measures. With almost a full day's driving under the belt, we'd seen that there's more to Volvo's new 60 than just cost-saving and environmental friendliness. There's more to come.
After the break, we return to France for part 2 of our Volvo V60 coverage. And there's a progress report on our Honda Civic ID Tech long-term test car.
Cornering stability. Even straight roads deserve a few twists. Continental. Tires engineered in Germany. Competitive from start to stop. Conti Partner, your fitment professionals. Tires for a safe drive. Even safer for the environment. Continental, tires engineered in Germany.
Welcome back to our coverage of the new Volvo V60 on a drive through southern France. Before the break, we discovered there was not only a new philosophy at Volvo, but also a whole lot of new technology as well. There's a lot of familiarity to the new model too. The interior for the V60 gets some of Volvo's new favourite parts and some of their old favourite parts. Some of the new bits included the single digital display for the speedometer that changes colour according to your driving mode. And then there are the older bits, like basically all the switchgear, pretty much all the layout, and the tried and trusted, never to be deleted floating centre console. That seems now to be as much part of the company's DNA as their obsession with safety. It still works, but it is getting a little long in the tooth now. Focusing on the new stuff, there are new sport seats and updated materials, as well as an improved infotainment system that includes 3G and Wi-Fi capability. That single digital display is one of the best in a very limited number of similar displays. Versatility and space are part of the makeup of the V60, but not at the expense of all-round comfort, with good space for everyone. The new technology gets some styling updates as well. At the back there are new taillights and integrated exhaust tailpipes. In the front a new grille, new LEDs, and this bonnet, which one of the Volvo people told me, has a snowdrift design. And then quite dryly added, although because we live in Africa, maybe it should be called sand drift. Volvo's styling updates aren't nearly as far-reaching as the technical ones. Even parked next to an older model, it's not that easy to pick out exactly what's been changed. It is, however, still a uniquely Swedish-looking car, and everyone we spoke to on the launch was particularly happy that they've now managed to make everything under the skin Swedish as well, instead of having to share parts with the company's previous owners. One of those people we spoke to was the ironically not Swedish exterior design chief, Max Missoni. We asked him just how they went about deciding on the styling of a new Volvo, like the recently showcased concept coupe.
We do have ingredients, as in the brand design signatures that we know have a certain effect and that we apply. That's our codex that we prepared in advance to give a certain impression. But when it's down to the last feeling of the surfacing and how the forms come to life, this is a very much a personal thing within the design team that we need to develop.
Unveiled recently at this year's Frankfurt Motor Show, the Concept Coupe is a showcase of the company's future design direction, showing off new elements like the T-shaped running lights. We asked Max about the design process behind the Concept Coupe.
In this particular case with the Concept Coupe that I can talk about here, we have a new platform that is the basis to it, and that new platform has a very good proportion. It gives us the possibility to really position the design and the appearance of the vehicle in a premium league. So that is a differentiator from previous platforms that we had to use. So that's already a good start. And then we always try to strike the balance of taking cues from Volvo's of the current lineup, and of course looking back into the history like we do with the P1800 in this case. And including our signatures, as I said, for our future cars. And between this is our job to kind of link these ends together and create a beautiful object.
I asked Max my standard car designer question: how do designers and engineers manage to agree on what's physically possible when designing a concept?
For us, it's important to have something to present to engineers first, to kind of a vision from our side, like now the Concept Coupe, or like we do internal design models that we then share and show, to inspire also our colleagues from engineering to say, okay, this is worth fighting for, it's worth putting effort into realizing it as close as we can.
To go along with the drivetrains and the styling, there is a third element to Volvo's new direction called scalable platform architecture, which we'll tell you more about when we bring you our drive of the updated S60, another car that was part of our French adventure, and another car that is underlining the company's claim that their 4-cylinder engine Drive E program is the future. Even though it won't happen overnight, it's a future that's not too far away. That means if you want a 6 or 8-cylinder Volvo, better get your order in now. But if you have to wait, the good news is that even when those engines are gone, the new engines won't leave a lot to be desired. The new generation diesel and its 8-speed gearbox don't deliver a new driving experience, but they are capable of offering an enjoyable drive. Some styling tweaks and interior updates have given the V60 a fresh appeal, but the real strength of the package is its promise of improved performance with lower fuel consumption and emissions.